Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. It is episode 13. We have Giggle and Brohammer of the QCC. Welcome. How is your guys' day going today?
Fantastic.
Pretty great. Just got off of work.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. How was your guys' day overall? Would you say out of 10?
Pretty regular day. 8 out of 10.
Let's go. What about you, bro? How was
Got
your
a lot
day?
done. Look, I can't have a bad day. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10? Let's go. Such a good way to look at things, honestly, though. You just gotta always be optimistic, you know? I'm gonna jump into the first topic I had here. How does community, Quest-compatible clubbing kind of become a thing?
So, to start from the very basic, the very beginning of the concept of the QCC, it's when I first started on Quest, there were no really resources or assets for Quest standalone users to get involved with the raving and clubbing community in general in VR. There's this fantastic Discord and community called Party Hub. Fantastic resource for PC users. They had some information about Quest venues, and that's the only way I was able to find anything about Quest venues and clubbing. My original inspiration was a video from Thea, and she released a video about VR clubbing in general, and I was on Quest standalone and I didn't really know anything about it. I was on there playing Among Us, just playing the games that were on VRChat. I didn't know about this whole other side of it. So I saw that video and I started doing my research. Like I said, I came across Party Hub and they had really good information about PC, very limited information for Quest users. So I thought, after clubbing and going out to some venues like TJ's Tavern, Gin VR, The Palace, of course, all these communities really showed me that there are Quest-compatible venues out there for standalone users. So I took that information and I wanted to build upon it and create a resource for Quest users to have a home base, have events posted regularly, have more information than what was available. So that was kind of how the groundwork started for the community.
That's amazing, because I've talked to you a lot about this in the past too, on how I think the music scene here in VRChat is huge, and everyone loves music, I feel like. And just PC compatible clubbing is massive, and how, as you mentioned, there's Palace and there's TJ's place within VRChat that hosts events, but like you said, I feel like you and Keebs now and that kind of whole other community is still forefront of this new medium that's coming in with Quest compatible clubbing, of how huge it could be and how big it's gonna get. You guys are at the forefront of this.
And actually, to mention, because I actually didn't mention their name earlier, Shots and Pots, that's also one of the communities I got really involved with early on. And they were very open, so was the Palace, and they were very excited that Quest users were joining. So I've got to give a little shout out to them and just give a little appreciation to what they did for the Quest community, allowing me to create what I created, because I've not been there without those communities.
Of course. What's the story on kind of how you met Keebs and that whole kind of crew?
To be honest, I'm not sure if I met them through Party Hub or not. I think I saw them post an event poster through Party Hub, and then I saw that it was Quest compatible and joined through there. And then I met Keebs. The whole community was really welcoming. He started creating more Quest compatible maps, like the Hangar. That released probably 2 months after I started getting into VRChat and actual clubbing. So I watched his community kind of grow, and then I helped support him, worked with him when I could, and then we kind of became friends through that. And I worked on his staff for a while. He let me get my feet wet, along with the Palace, for running events and taking on that responsibility for myself, so that way I would feel comfortable down the road running QCC events. So the Palace and Shots and Pots did a lot to help support me and my learning to becoming an event host in VR.
Of course. Because event hosting, and I even talked to Keebs about this and you about this, of how hard and how difficult it is to plan and run events. And the behind the scenes and how much goes into planning one event, and even pop-ups is immense, and it's crazy on how those are.
Yeah, a lot of people don't see the minute details, the background work, the communication between DJs, scheduling, make sure you're not double booking people, creating flyers, talking to other communities, collabing, sending out invites to your community. Doing all that takes a lot more time and effort than people understand initially. So if anybody is trying to get into it, I'd say take your time, run some low-scale events, find somebody who'll take you under your wing. Don't try to rush into it, 'cause it's a lot more work than you'd expect.
Of course.
Not to even mention, like, you always have to have staff too, and that's challenging with like 6-hour events or 5-hour events. Like, everyone's got their, you know, they gotta make sure that they're free. You always have to have at least one person on.
Yeah, you've also always got to have staff coordination between people is what takes longer than anything else, I think, when setting up events.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had a question for Go here. So how did you kind of like get into the clubbing scene, and how were you kind of introduced into VRChat clubbing?
Actually a really similar route to Brohammer. I don't remember which was my first club, but it was either TJ's Tavern or the Hangar with Shots and Pot or the Palace. And I was amazed how much there was there and how much community there was there. But I ran into the issue where due to internet setup at the time, only having the Quest standalone headset, I was very frustrated with frequent crashing and frequently running into issues on VR. And also, like Brohammer was saying, finding events standalone compatible.
And also quality, because there's a lot of minor events
Yes.
that are just not super great, not great communities. It was very frustrating.
Exactly.
Like, I was just trying to agree with your point there. It was very frustrating in the beginning to find those. So
Yeah, exactly. And even as I moved into being a PC VR user, a lot of my friends have been or on standalone or use standalone sometimes while traveling or while their PC's down, they're having connection issues, internet's out, whatever. And it's so important to have the resource here. That's why I'm here. That's why I want to help. That's why I wanted to join this, help find the resources, help develop this clubbing community.
Of course. And what you guys built here so far, and honestly, I've talked with Bro about this many more on. I'm very excited to see where this goes with events and Quest compatible clubbing, because I think this can be like huge. And the Quest compatible like standalone clubbing in VRChat. VRChat's getting way more attention nowadays, and I feel like the more popular clubbing gets, and the more influx we get of more Quest users, especially with the Quest 3 is coming out soon. Like, we got MetaConnect
absolutely,
actually like this Wednesday, like on more information on the Quest 3 coming out, which will be releasing maybe around 2 weeks to 3 weeks from now. And that's going to bring so much more standalone people into VR around like the next couple months, which I feel like
Not to even mention cell phones.
Of course,
and
yeah.
mobile.
That's going to be huge
The
too.
Android version is also coming out. I think that'll drag more people, and I think the real catalyst with the cell phone is that it's going to push them to start VRChat on the phone, and then they're going to be excited. And standalone headsets aren't crazy expensive. You don't need a PC,
and then they're going to move over to a
that
headset.
will expand it more.
Yeah,
exactly. I don't think it's that people on the phone are going to be the big influx. I think it's people that are going to the turnover into.
Of course, yeah, that makes more sense, because I feel like once VRChat gets, because it's currently in beta, of course, it's beta 2 plus users, because they're trying to get feedback in the beta, of course, on more of that with VRChat Mobile. But once it goes public, I feel like with Android, like you said, the crossover will be immense of how much people will buy Quest 2s or Quest 3s.
Derail it as little as possible. What would be, do you have another question for us?
Well, I kind of wanted to go into this too. I'm very grateful for this community, because if you guys never kind of started the QCC and of course these events, I don't think I would have found clubbing as fast as I did, because this whole community came up and came around. But when I started around 9-10 months ago, I think everyone kind of knows the story. If people kind of watched a WYDA episode, or I've talked to you guys a lot, I met Miyu in a great pug on the top floor at a fireplace one night, like on like early in the week, like on a Monday or a Tuesday. And then Miyu was doing her typical just dance hangout, right? I joined in as I usually do, just like going along. 3 hours later, she's still dancing. I'm like, how? How? And then
the most efficient dancing.
This is why I call her the dance queen, and she gets embarrassed every time. Like, she's literally the dance queen, though. Like, no one can go that long. We gotta give her that.
No one. Not with that much energy. Tons of energy, and for hours, I couldn't do it.
Like, during a WYDA set, she could do like a full marathon. She's danced for like 8 hours. I'm like, how? But yeah, like, I'm kind of going off that point. If I'd never met Miyu, I would have never met you guys, WYDA, the whole crew. Cruz, Keebs. I think I would have eventually when Quest compatible clubbing would have gotten huge, but without meeting Miyu, I would have never kind of found you guys in clubbing.
And that's one thing I'll mention that really kind of stuck with me and kept me so interested in VR chat, to be honest, is that I found people that I would have never met before. I would have never been able to communicate with. I would have never been friends with these people because I would have never had a chance in real life to meet these people and interact with them.
Of course.
And now I can meet people from all over the world and make friends that I would never have got a chance to be friends with. So I think that's such a great experience.
It's amazing,
especially
right?
when you're working with people from other cultures. It's really fun.
And there's so much talent. Like the amount of people and the amount of people you could talk to in one place. The amount of, like, there's that just common joke, that common meme in VRChat. There's so much DJs, it's literally impossible to know every single DJ. It's impossible. Like, there's new DJs popping up every day. There's new people inspired by other people and want to get into DJing every day.
So many people from so many different walks of lives. You can have totally people that are completely on different spectrums of communicating, like in normal interactions. But here, everybody keeps that to themselves, and we all just kind of enjoy each other's company, talk about our lives, to what we enjoy. But there's not a lot of hatred here. It's very rare that you see that. So
I feel like
what
it's
I've
that
enjoyed
common
about the clubbing
saying.
community, at least the places I've been connected with.
Yeah, I feel like it's that common saying though that comes in when we just chill and talk and just are here to vibe. Everyone's here in VRChat to club and have fun, I feel like, because it's a social platform. Sometimes I don't even see this as a game. I hop on here just to hang out with you guys. Honestly, hang out with genuine friends.
Absolutely.
I don't see it as a game sometimes. I'm here like, I want to hang out with my friends. I want to go clubbing.
This is my social group at times.
I was literally just saying the exact same thing with one of the folks who's been DJing with us and will be DJing tonight, Schloop. He also doesn't really consider this VR chat a game. It's more like a social experience.
Yeah, and then of course I feel like outside of VRChat, that goes into a whole different medium of like, as we see it with VRChat as not being a game, and you can meet anyone from all walks of life. I have people, friends from Australia. They're like 17 hours, almost 24 hours ahead of us. Like I've met everyone from all walks of life around the freaking
New
planet.
New Zealand, Japan, South
Everywhere.
America, Mexico, everywhere. Like Canada, plenty of course, being in the States, but just every walk, and not only different cultures, all walks of life in those cultures.
And no, and just everyone, I feel like everyone in the world, to an extent, has a story, or everyone has their passions and their dreams, right, that they want to do. And I feel like there's one thing everyone can agree with at some point in their life of everyone loves music. And that's why I feel like the VRChat music scene is going to do amazing in the future. And even as it is now, it's just going to keep growing. Even with the Quest compatible scene of everyone loves music.
When I first started in VRChat, I saw a lot of primarily just EDM communities. And that's a huge part of VRChat. EDM, you're going to have all kinds of different genres. There's subgenres under that, but I've even started to see rock shows, like oldies, rap, like all kinds of different genres that I haven't seen before. So it's only expanding more and more and more, especially as it's becoming more accessible for everyone, ease of use as well as purchase point. So,
of course,
exactly.
And some of the other, like, kind of, like you said, different genres, like, so much genres popping up. Before, I wouldn't even say I was into, like, a lot of just the general, like, techno and house stuff that WYDA plays. Like, WYDA asked me a question even of, was I into that type of music before I was a fan of WYDA? And I'll be honest, I never even really listened to that type of stuff. Like, I was into maybe something similar, like electronic music, kind of along that lines of, like, it is kind of techno house, like, some electronic stuff. But, like, WYDA's is just a whole different breed. I'll be honest. Like he just like really gets at that.
I think that's the issue for a lot of people when they're not into that genre in their everyday life. It's because they haven't had exposure to quality,
of course,
of whatever genre that is. And that's the thing about VRChat is there's such a plethora of well-talented DJs, and like we're gonna have WYDA playing tonight. He's one of my favorite DJs.
I'd say I'm
and I just
I'm one of his biggest fans. I'm a full-on WYDA enjoyer.
I am as well. I gotta build a tattoo actually.
Wait,
That's-
where is it
I
on your
might.
avatar?
I might.
Where
It's
is
right
it?
here. It's right back here.
Totally,
It's back
totally.
shoulder
Oh,
there.
amazing.
Bro's gonna
Tattooed to
post
my
like
avatar.
something in the QCC chat one day. Be like, yo guys, I got a Wilda tattoo at like the parlor. Honestly though, just the music scene's such an amazing place on the people I've met, and I love this community of like, I've met Icysami, another amazing artist and producer of just the stuff he puts out is on a different level. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, there's so much talent and so much different genres and music I'm finding that I really love now. And like, just I honestly
And that's
just,
what I was saying. Like, you don't get exposed to that a lot of times.
Yeah.
And VRChat really creates that exposure. So it's a very unique experience in VRChat.
of course, and it's just the thing of like just so much different clubs and experiences, and it's not even that's not even like hitting the tip of the iceberg with just the different genres. Like along with the genres, like some worlds like Club Deviate and some other like worlds. There's of course like some mostly PC experiences, but the amount of like different visuals and like that clubs have and like the visual experiences along with the music is insane on completely different levels that would be impossible to do IRL and is only possible in VRChat with like some of these effects and experiences.
Exactly. And to piggyback off that point, I know that there have been updates and there are plans to be more updates to even allow additional shaders and additional effects to be possible for PC users and Quest users alike. So we're just
I'm pretty
going
sure
to
they
see
just released
more
a
of that
big-
expanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, big.
I think they did
yeah,
release
big
more stuff
did.
on that.
You're more up to
update.
date.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
were way more up
yeah.
to date with the terminology and understand
Yeah.
that much better than I
Yeah.
do. But
I'm honestly just grateful for Miyu. Cause like we really just gotta shout out Miyu more. Like Miyu is like the life of the party. Miyu does all her stuff and she literally
where's she
is
been though? I ain't
mute.
seen her in a while.
I think she's been busy with work. I think she's been like tired and stuff. Cause she
That's
like does
fair.
work and a lot
life,
of
life happens.
life happens. But like
It
I
happens
told
to
her,
the best of us.
of course. I sent her the poster and she's like, I'm gonna be here tonight. You know she's #1 Wilda fan.
Number one,
Oh,
Will
hell
the
yeah.
fan. I thought I was for a while. I still think I'm like top 5.
Hey,
But they are
I think
definitely
we're on the
#1
same
Wilda
level.
fan.
You know, I say me and you are like top 5. Miyu's like #1 though.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what particle show Miyu gives us tonight.
Oh, I can't wait. She has a
during
different
Wilda's
one
set.
every time. It's
Yeah.
so cool.
No.
It's crazy how much of it's close compatible too.
No, I think Miyu is to you what Brohammer is to me. I've met hundreds of people through you. Hundreds and hundreds, like literally 100, 200, 300 people through you. I've literally had people walk up and be like, "This is my friend Brohammer. Have you met him?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm an admin in his Discord." That happens all the
That
time.
tends
You
to
know
happen.
everyone. You know everyone. You're pretty well connected socially.
And speaking of that,
Yeah.
that's also back to the topic of VR and being kind of different than IRL and experiences. Is I find that VR allows people that aren't always extroverted to kind of crack out of their shell
Yes,
and feel a little
yes. Oh my
safer
God,
at
we gotta go
home
into
and
this.
feel more open.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, so that was I've been an extroverted person my entire life. Like not overly the top. Like if I go to a new party, I have a hard time like introducing myself. But VR kind of takes away that outer layer of distancing maybe. You don't want to be a
Yeah.
wallflower as much. You're more willing and open to communicating to people. And another thing I've noticed in VR is a lot of the community owners, a lot of the people that own the worlds that are there, or staff, they'll see you hanging out. If you're new to the community, they'll be like, "Hey, how you doing? Have you been here before? Here's the settings, here's the resync buttons." They'll come up and communicate to you and make you feel very welcome, which is not something you're going to see at a bar. So no matter where you go, you've almost always got an opening to feel welcome.
Of course.
Depending on the venue, but most
Yeah.
venues I find that to be true with.
Usually before they walk up to me though, I just walk up to everyone before they walk up to me though.
That's fair. I try to do that as well.
I don't know what it is. It's just random, even at events like this or just like public worlds. I just love like talking to people. It's just something like it's just something like kind of like you said, like I've always been more or less extroverted my entire life, but I've always been told I talk too much. So I was like, what's an excuse for me to talk however long I want? Make your own podcast? Perfect.
Boom. 2 steps ahead. I love it. I love it.
No, my subjective experience with, I guess, introversion, extroversion, social anxiety, whatever. I'm kind of like I don't know. I'm a mix. I'm somewhat extroverted, somewhat introverted, but I find myself a lot more extroverted here on VR because I can choose the body that I want. So I don't have any social anxiety about my body most of the time. I don't have any anxiety at how I'm being perceived. And I also I know that people who are around me and talking to me and listening to me actually want to be here. Because if they didn't want to be here, they could just, whoop, dip out of the place and walk away.
Just
they
dip out,
scoot themselves away and move on. If they're actually here talking to me, they do want to talk with me. And that in itself is like a confidence booster. I don't know.
Of course.
Yeah, I like that way you put that, definitely.
Kind of bouncing off that, just the way like how VR I call it, it's a very powerful and place where you can just find out like if you don't like how you look IRL or just like you need help with like just like socializing, or you want to be more social, or you want to learn how to be more extrovert, or you have social anxiety, I'd say this is one of the perfect places to be because you can embody something that you're comfortable with, and it helps so much people like be more like I guess like the saying is like be more in touch with themselves. Like you find more about yourself that you didn't already know about yourself in VR.
Without physical limitations. I like that. I think that was put well. Yeah. You don't have the physical limitations. You don't have to worry about what you look like. None of that really matters. You can just express who you are and people can enjoy that person without any physical context. And I like the aspect of that.
Me too. You get to see folks kind of like for their soul and their person, the person that's inside, instead of the body kind of getting in the way of that medium or that connection, you know.
It's Briny though. Actually, come here. Also one of the QCC staff, one of our newest members. They've been setting up a lot of events and deserve a little bit of credit and recognition. So say hi.
Welcome on.
Hello. Yeah, she's probably had about 4 months in. She's also whitelisted, so she can walk through the barrier. That's why they're able to come right through.
Of course.
Because they're staff, so it was my fault for not mentioning anything. But everything y'all have done so far has worked out fantastic. I'm really proud of the staff that has come together recently. The QCC, we just hit our 1-year anniversary last month.
Let's go.
On the 13th, something like that. So, I took a long time. I really slowly built up the community and made sure we had really positive individuals that were happy to be there, happy to be willing and part of it.
And actually like willing and passionate to run events with you. Because having a good staff and having people that want to be passionate about kind of this community and events is very important for running these types of events.
And the biggest thing when looking at staff, I feel like, is you need to watch for people that are actively doing the things, or if willing to do those projects, because a lot of people have a lot of enthusiasm and then burn out real quick. So you don't want to just grab anybody that's like, yeah, I can do this. Be like, okay, here's the responsibilities. This is your job. And then talk about it and try to talk them out of the position almost.
Yeah,
and if they're still interested and willing
to push through, it's like a test.
That's the people you want to keep around. Yeah, exactly.
I've talked about optimization and stuff with V a decent amount on the other episode, but honestly though, just optimizing and VR. I've been learning way more about it with just avatars and ratings, and not even just that, but with like certain worlds of I've seen how you guys done it with here, and how Keebs has even talked about like making worlds is hard, and then it's even harder for optimizing it for Quest. For events like this, because you have to go through everything, then you have to go back and check everything, then you have to stress test the world, and it's a whole
my understanding is that it's 2 different versions of the world, one for PC users and one for Quest standalone users. and the Quest standalone users are limited by the shaders that they can see. Of course, there's not audio link, so you won't see the flashing and the flashing in the hair or the flashing in the clothes. There's also other limitations beyond what my knowledge is.
Of course.
But it basically allows, in my opinion, the best of both worlds by having a Quest compatible world, because it means it can be run mobily, or with a lower end, GPU, CPU, etc. Or it can be run on like a high end PC rig, and it's kind of the best of both worlds coming together, and it makes it so accessible for everyone. Then with cell phone users eventually being also part of those mobile users, that makes it where you can just whip out your nice cell phone.
Yeah, of course. But I wanted to kind of mention one thing.
Yeah.
The two things I'm very excited for the future of VR is, of course, the Quest 3. Because what it's going to introduce, I'm not sure if you got... For what we know so far, I mean, we're getting more information at MetaConnect this Wednesday. But the leak is, or I think this was confirmed, but the Quest 3 is going to be 30% more powerful than the Quest 2. It's going to have a Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2. So what that's going to do for standalone is very exciting, because it's going to run games better. It's going to run VRChat in way better. And if it is pretty decently massive upgrade, I feel like a decent amount of Quest 2 users are going to switch over to that for their PC computer headset and for travel. Because then, for example, most people that want to travel and still attend Quest compatible events will have a more powerful system or powerful headset to do it on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with the new headset, and it's also, not only is it going to update the Quest 3 and make it more powerful, but the processors and like a lot of what the Quest can do as well, the Quest 2, I mean, is also going to be updated.
Yeah, no, the Quest 2 is also getting a boost. I think it's getting that update soon. The Quest 2 is getting a boost, and then the Quest 3 to compete with the Quest 3. So the Quest 2 can run a lot of the Quest 3 games that are going to come out.
I'm hoping that it'll be the beginning of the end for frequent Quest crashes or other issues with Quest users in general.
Honestly, though, it's just the fact of that. But then also, I'm not sure if you guys heard, I've been talking about this a decent amount, but the new Vive trackers coming out have, the headsets have the technology of these are the controllers, the headsets have the cameras, they track the controllers. Imagine that inside-out tracking technology on full-body trackers. So Vive, or HTC, is coming out with new trackers that have that technology that connect with any headset with Steam VR. So you still need a computer, but that technology would be amazing, because then you could, if you still have a computer, you can go fully wireless. That's fully wireless full body with the headset. With the Quest headset. That'd be insane.
The Quest headset itself and all of the different renditions of it are fine standalone, can be used also as a PC link. So probably half of our Discord, or over half of our Discord, is actually PC users who own Quest.
I don't run all the Quest 2s and all the Quest 2s and soon the Quest 3s like you guys. I'm on that original Quest. Come on.
You're on the Rift?
I'm on that original Quest 1. Quest 1.
That's great.
Shaloop's on the Rift. We should ask him about his Rift.
The Rift was a good headset. Or what goes into events, if you want to tell me what kind of goes into how planning events work.
The topic here directed towards what the difference is between PC and Quest.
Of course.
So I'll explain it with that in mind. When we set up the Quest venues and events, we just have to make sure we're working with Quest compatible community and make sure their maps are up to date. A lot of times we like to go in beforehand and pre-test them before we work in a community.
Of course.
See how stressed out Quest users are, how well it runs. So that's something that you don't really have to worry about when running normal PC events. You don't have to worry about Quest users. So we try to take the extra step and make sure anytime we're doing anything, in the QCC stuff, anything we put out is obviously always Quest compatible. But we try to only work with Quest driven communities. And that doesn't mean that every event they're going to have is Quest compatible, but they're interested in working with Quest compatible venues and are interested in making sure their venues are for the most part.
Of course, yeah.
So I feel like that's a little bit of a difference, because we can't just copy and paste events off other Discords, like a lot of communities that partner with other communities. Like if you look at the Party Hub, they've got tons of ones and they don't really have to go through them very much. They could just post them back to back, but we have to make sure what we're putting out works for the Quest community. And then to circle back just about basic event setting up, a lot of it with what you're doing is you're communicating with DJs, you're communicating with event owners, you're communicating with staff, you're using graphic design to create flyers for the events.
Yeah.
And then if something happens, DJ has to pull out, you're having to go back and fix that through that. So there's a lot more aspects and a lot more skill sets that
it's a lot of planning. I feel like the planning goes into a lot of like, I feel like that's for a lot of just general with planning for events, but then also like the rescheduling. I feel like it's the hardest part because, for example, if someone pulled out at the event, then you have to remake the flyer, like you said, then try to scramble to find someone else that would be down to take the spot and at that time.
So I feel like the main difference between regular scheduling is just making sure everything runs well for Quest, stress testing your worlds. There's a lot of communities that reach out to us and want to work with us immediately, and I appreciate that, but I don't want to promote something that's not going to work well and efficiently for Quest users. So that's another step that has to be taken that you don't really see on the PC side.
Yeah, exactly. To add to that, the staff that we have at QCC is a mixture of PC and Quest users. They know us as people that they can come to like, hey, this is not working well for PC. Hey, this isn't working well for Quest. Or we'll even request of them, hey, come with us to this world. Let us know how it's performing for you. What are your frames? Like asking,
that's
like,
also a really good point.
It's super important because if they're already lagging out and the 40 plus people have not yet showed up, well, is this really going to work when 40 to 80 users show up at once? Not really.
Absolutely.
Not really. It's very important when that happens.
Yeah, our staff also gets reached out to. This is another thing that goes into event planning that you don't see in PC communities. Our staff, a lot of the times, we're connected with a lot of PC communities, and when they're starting to make things Quest compatible, they'll reach out to us to ask, hey, do you have a few Quest users you can send in to test a few things, or can we do a stress test and fill it up with Quest users and PC users? So that's another service I think we kind of provide to helping more worlds become more Quest compatible and more efficient at it, is we're willing to get in there and try to test the bugs and help the evolution and knowledge base for communities so they can make their venues more Quest compatible and efficient.
Recently, I have tried a Quest 2, and I've tried it on standalone. It's not the worst thing ever. I do like it. The fact of the one deal breaker for me on the Quest 2 and the Quest 3 that I feel like is going to be a deal breaker for me is the fact of I've been using the Quest 1 for about almost a year now. And the thing I've noticed on the Quest 2 and the Quest 3, this is, of course, most people that don't know what an OLED display looks like would not know what, kind of like on an LCD display, it's more gray than black, but like how vibrant colors are way more vibrant on an OLED display. And there's reasons why companies and other people don't do OLED with high resolution and higher FPS. It doesn't work. There's a lot of implications and problems. But that's another reason why I like the Quest 1 better than the Quest 2 and the Quest 3. Because the Quest 2 looks way more, it looks washed out on some of the colors and events and places I go to, is what I noticed.
That's something that I'd like to mention as well. If there's any people that are on a Quest standalone headset and you're looking to get into this, what you're going to get from a Quest standalone headset is decent graphics.
Oh no, it looks amazing.
Decent refresh frames. Not fantastic. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, the color-wise for me is a deal breaker. For me, at least.
Right.
Yeah.
It's going to be part of it, but you should expect this. Don't come in with outlandish expectations. The Quest 3, I'm sure, is going to look amazing, and I think the Quest standalone by itself looks pretty great. But
yeah, especially with the newer lenses.
Come into it with the mindset. Come into it with the mindset of, I'm here for a social experience, and, like, another thing I'll say, having a couple beers on Quest tends to help you not notice the graphics.
Okay. I mean, let's talk about this. The amount of people that get high and drink way too much on here, it's a thing. It's definitely a thing.
Also something to be aware of, especially if you're a Quest standalone user, is moderate yourself, especially when you first
take
get
care
started.
of yourself. Like, actually, when you go to these type of events, drink water and drink all, like, you could drink a lot. But what I tell I'm always constantly running around at these events telling people to drink fucking water, because half the people are like, no, I'm just gonna take another swig of my alcohol.
You definitely gotta hydrate before you dehydrate, but I do understand that substances helps a lot with immersion and helps a lot with feeling like you're in that other space.
Of course, like, in moderation moderation is very important because the amount of people I feel like that don't realize that they are drinking too much and then they get off VR and then they are actually slammed the next day. It's actually horrible.
Yeah, and it can get out of hand. Just be aware of that. Limit yourself. And the problem with VR is the party never stops. You can find a party any time of the day or night.
Yeah.
Pretty much anytime, anywhere,
so
anywhere around the world.
Make sure you start with self-control. I have no figure for self-control in VR chat, but that's something I'd recommend.
What music do you really enjoy, Brohammer and Giggle? Like, what's your type of like genre that you will listen to on your own time, or like music you really vibe with?
I'm into basically like, I wouldn't say all types of music, but most types of music. And I've been into EDM and related genres for years. And then, of course, to come onto VRChat, that just developed my taste more and showed me more things that I didn't already know. One thing though that I haven't seen here yet, but maybe it'll pop up at some point in the future, would be like people like vibing along to like soulful, like neo soul music or something like that. And a lot of like singing while performing. I see some of that. That could be developed a little more, and I'm really excited to see it develop more.
Yes. Oh my god, we need to tell WYDA to do this more because I've seen it. Remember that one at your birthday party, that event, how he literally opened up with a singing thing? That was amazing. We need to have him do that
Wait,
more.
was it at my birthday or was the April Fool's one?
It was at the April Fool's thing or at your birthday. Was it at your birthday? I can't remember.
I think it's April Fool's. No, it's April Fool's.
I've seen him
because I
sing
had him
multiple times.
Oh my god, it's so good.
So he did that metal set on April Fool's
It's
to fuck
so
because I told him to do that. I was like, why don't you start with the metal set? I told him, I was like, start with the metal set. Throw everybody off. It's April Fool's. Because like I am very particular when I run an event. I am very particular. I want my DJs to be one genre, and it doesn't like subgenres are fine, but they need to be one genre, like EDM, like dark techno. I want things to be similar. I want them to roll off each other well. I want them to connect. And a lot of our DJs, especially WYDA, they do IRL streams. So
I
like,
love that type of stuff.
You see them in person and play, which is something you don't see a lot of places. So I always try to at least have the last two, if possible, doing something along those lines. To answer your question about the musics I enjoy in general, I found that EDM, there's subgenres that I enjoyed before, but that's one thing that I really love about VRChat. I have found DJs with subgenres that I didn't even know existed and then fell in love with them. So it's taught me a lot about the EDM scene and music and subgenres in general. I've got to learn and interact with all kinds of different DJs, and that has absolutely been a pleasure. So.
And just meeting so much talent. Like, the thing I love about Sami is his music is all over the place, but that's an amazing thing. Like, it's the type of thing where he does so much different types of genres. If you don't like one of his songs, you just listen to one other one, and it's like, that's amazing, but I don't vibe with this, but I vibe with this.
Absolutely.
Exactly. There's so many multi-genre DJs and performers on here too, either that they're just interested in a lot of different genres and they like to blend and mix them around, or they straight up, today I'm doing a drum and bass set, and tomorrow I'm going to do a house set, and then the next day I'm going to do breakcore, and there's no limits. The sky's the limits, essentially.
That's what I love about VRChat. Like, literally just anything here, not just like Quest compatible events or just general worlds and stuff. Literally, for the most part, I'd say, other than like limits on worlds and just how much you could put into different worlds, creativity-wise, VRChat's endless. You could make whatever you want here, and that's the creative and amazing part about what VRChat is. And no other game is doing that. Name another game where you can embody an avatar.
Not with the accessibility.
Yeah, like make whatever you want. Do stuff in Unity. Learn. Make avatars. There's no other something that's doing that. Of course,
I know that there's
not on the
VRChat
scale.
competitors, but they're definitely not on this scale.
Their ability to be creative and openly access all of that, someone who doesn't have a lot of experience, that's not something you see on those other platforms. Creator Companion for VRC. Like, they have created tools and assets to make it easier for people to create content. So
Yep.
that's what I would say one of the big differences between the competitors.
Exactly.
Because to be honest,
Plus,
I actually never owned a PC before VRC. I bought one with the intentions of upgrading off standalone
Of course.
after a year of being on standalone and partying with everybody. So I have very little knowledge, but VRC Companion software, everything they have has made it so much more streamlined and easy for. So I have literally no idea what I was doing. Was still able to figure it all out. So that's something I don't see with a lot of those other communities.
And one controversial thing it's not that controversial, but I do want to bring up, this is the metaverse to me. Like, VRChat is what we call, I feel like, the modern day metaverse. Like, this is the Oasis, current modern day
Currently,
Oasis.
absolutely.
Like, definitely. Like, this is
Absolutely.
it. This is it.
I don't think that that's controversial at all. I just think that the
No, I think
phrase
that's common
metaverse
sense.
metaverse has been co-opted to be a controversial thing, but
Of course, yeah.
I guess from the outside, it could look like a controversial statement. From the
Yeah, a
outside,
little.
If you haven't been
Yeah.
connected to the VR community, for sure.
And I'll be honest here, for the amount of Zuck on these nuts jokes I've made throughout the 10 months, I think I'd be a millionaire by now.
That's great. That's great.
I still cannot forgive that man what he did. He kicked out my guy Palmer Luckey, the legend, the VR founder himself. Cannot forgive that man. If it wasn't for the Quest 1... Oh, wait. Okay, I do want to put this fact out there. Did you know that the Quest 1, the top shop on it, was not supposed to be a thing? Palmer Luckey, when he was at Oculus at the time before, I think when they bought it, when he was still there, he had to fight to keep the top strap design on the headset. So the Quest 2 would have maybe have released without a head strap. Imagine that. Like, where does all the weight go? Like, your ears would be dying. Like, where's the weight going if we didn't have a top strap?
I mean, let's be real. The Quest 2 head straps are not comfortable. The facial interfaces are
Oh
not
my
comfortable.
God, it's
but
so
that's
bad.
kind of totally
Oh, the
totally
customizable.
modular.
The customizability is amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You can remove and add parts. There's tutorials for fixing your controllers, fixing your headset. I even saw a dude take a Quest 2 on YouTube and
Water-cooled
he cut
headset.
a little square.
Did you see the water-cooled headset
Yes.
Quest 2?
Yes,
Oh my God.
That's exactly what I was going to say. He cut a square out of the front plastic in the front of the headset here and put a little small metal water cooling block with 2 cords coming down and a camel pack full of water and a pump to water cool it so it doesn't overheat while playing or get as hot while playing and increase performance.
And I think it did. I'd actually seen that video. I think it did improve it. Not by much, but it did improve it.
Yeah, it did.
Water-cooled VR
The
headsets in the
community is
future.
just so creative.
It's Discord GG//QCC, all lowercase. It's that simple, QCC. So if you're on Quest, or if you're interested in getting involved with our community,
And you can
all
also find this
lowercase.
link in the
If there's any
description
Quest
to
members,
join the QCC Discord if you guys want to join.
there you go. That's probably even easier. I love it. Come hang out with us. Come party. Come see what you can do with your standalone, because I didn't think I
Heck
could
yeah.
do much, but now we're here.
Now we're here,
Exactly,
and it's
exactly.
about to get so much better. Quest 3 is exciting. I'm excited to see where this goes.
I was just also going to mention that we're working on the Discord all the time. We're adding a lot of resources. Something that me and a few other folks have been working on is getting guides out there, technical guides for both PC VR linked with Quest users and Quest standalone VRChat users. So
That is something really good to mention, because that is something that I had a huge time with when I first started. I had to have somebody sit me down, walk me through this big process. I couldn't have done it on my own. So having that guide that you've been creating and been putting the work into, I really have appreciated that and really liked the effort, because that really helps people just to be like, hey, I can sit down with this. I know where to go. I know how to set up the settings, and that was a big thing, because that doesn't exist out there. Like, maybe there's some weird form somewhere hiding in the internet, but it's just not easily, readily, and all condensed information. So I really think that's a fantastic goal and something you've proceeded with quite well.
Also, Brohammer, Giggle.
Oh, thank you.
That's amazing. But then also the modularity of how a Quest is, on how affordable it is, and I love that. Like, I'm so I'm so glad the Quest 1 was made, because without it, we wouldn't have the Quest 2, the Quest 3, and all those other standalone headsets. Like the Quest 1 at the time founded, if you really think about standalone headsets in entirety, I feel like it was the first big standalone headset of its kind.
Not only is price a big thing, it's ease of use, ease of access.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's so easy.
if
Yeah.
you don't know anything about computers, you don't know anything about all that, it can seem overwhelming. So you get a standalone headset, you don't know anything about computers, start there, get that set up, get used to that, get used to all the settings in there,
Of
and then
course.
go from there, get a PC down the road. So
Then
I think
you
that's
just
what
link
it really
it to your computer,
creates is the
and then you have a
accessibility.
full PC VR
And
headset.
it's easy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's not like it used to be. You don't have to struggle. And even the Index, I've heard has, I don't know from personal experience, so I'll say I heard, has more technical
There's a
things you
lot.
need to deal with when
There's a
you're first
lot.
setting up.
It's
Yeah,
a lot.
it can be overwhelming. So if you know nothing, the Quest or a standalone headset is an
so
amazing place
easy.
to start.
Yeah, like the setup process, I'll be honest, for a Quest, it's so easy
Yeah.
to use. Yeah.
And even like standalone, it's downloading one app. Like if you don't know anything, you don't want to worry about it on cable, you just want to try VR chat and check out the clubbing scene and the social scene. All you got to do is download one app on your headset. It's the easiest thing in the world to get as a starter, so you don't have to feel overwhelmed. Because like
Of
I know I
course.
would have never, if I had to buy a PC first to get into VR, I would have never done it. And I didn't for that reason for a
Yeah.
long time.
Because of the entry
Same.
point. I feel like no one did it because of the entry point. It's like, oh no, I have to get a PC VR headset and a computer. That price buy-in point is just too much for most people.
I just wanted to leave it on the note. Feel free to join our Discord. We're friendly. If you're PC VR, you're
Check the
welcome.
link
If you're
below.
Quest PC VR, you're welcome. If you're standalone, you're welcome. If you're on a mobile phone, you're welcome. There's a community here. We are adults. Everyone's got to be 18 plus.
18 plus, please.
No screaming kiddos, please. We're a diverse community. We try to all be really respectful of each other. We like to stream. We like to play a variety of video games. Some of us are teaching themselves how to DJ.
Of course.
Teaching themselves how to do art, build avatars. Teach yourself how to be a nerd.
How to be a
Teach
nerd.
yourself how to be a nerd like I did. Nerd life. You can
Heck
teach
yeah.
yourself how to build a computer, like whatever you
Let's
want to do.
go. No. We, in the server, we'll be chilling in the VC. We'll pull up that video on Linus sex tips. You ready to? Oh no, sorry, tech tips.
You meant that.
We know what you meant. But yeah, a lot of times we'll just chill. Our group has gotten tight knit, so we'll have people in the VC just chilling during the day before events, chatting it up, talking about settings, and just talking about life as well. So feel free to join our Discord, check us out. Say hi if you come from the video you see here. Go ahead and just let us know, then we can give an extra shout out to your favorite V blogger here.
And I'll see you guys all in the virtual world in the next podcast episode.